back to my channel. I am going to make a very quick video today and just talk to you about what it is that I think you need to forget about when it comes to studying for your nurse practitioner boards. I had made a video just yesterday about everything that I recommended doing in order to better prepare for your boards exam, and I let you know that I would do another quick video following up and tell you everything that I think is basically a waste of your time. I have a free minute because I'm driving up to Rite Aid by myself, so I'm just going to do the video now in my car. I won't have screaming children in the background or dogs barking or all that, commotion that comes with being at the house. So yeah, it's going to be quick, but there are a few things that I really think that you can just skip altogether when studying for your boards. And this is very specific to the AANP exam because that's the one I took, and I really can't speak on the other exam. But as far as studying for your AANP exam, this is everything that you can just skip. So number one, skip, and I hope that you listen to me when I tell you this, skip the predictor test. Unless your school requires it of you. I've heard some schools require you to take a predictor exam that will predict your likelihood of passing boards. I took the APEA predictor exam, and it was affiliated with the OLIA review that I did. So I thought that doing that review would completely prepare me for their predictor exam, and it did not. That predictor test was significantly more difficult than the actual boards exam, and I did not do well on it. I know many people that did not do well on their predictor exam and passed their boards. It is not a good indicator of whether or not you're going to pass, and really all it did for me is just knock my self-esteem down big time. That was one of the reasons that I considered pushing my testing date back, is because of how I did on the predictor exam. It was just so hard, and it was not something that all of that OLIA's review prepared me for. So I really would not recommend doing that. It just kills your self-esteem. Forget it. Just study the best that you can. You don't need a test predicting the likelihood that you'll pass. I actually purchased 2 tests because it was a better deal instead of purchasing just one, and I never even took the second exam because it affected my confidence level that much. So I have 2 more tips. Okay, I'm gonna park in the parking lot really quick, and then yes, 2 more tips, and they're pretty short, but they made a world of difference for my studying. And I didn't find out these 2 tips or facts until I was within 24 hours of taking my boards exam. And it's not anyone's fault but my own. I should have done more research as far as to what is really all entailed on your exam. And there's ways that you can find out, because I don't know if this is the same for the ANCC exam, but for the AANP exam, 2 things that you can just forget about studying because they're going to be provided for you or they're not going to be asked. 1, you do not need to remember normal lab values. AANP will provide you with all of the lab values that you will need. In each question that they're asking you about lab values, they will provide you with the normal ranges. And they give you a scrap piece of paper while you're testing. And so when I was taking the exam, if any of the normal values popped up in one of the questions that I was reading, I wrote those normal values down on my paper because I wasn't sure if they would give them to me again in another question or if they would just assume that I had them from the previous question. And to be truthful, I don't even remember if any of the questions ever kept any of that info out after providing it one time. I was too much in the fog of studying or taking the exam. So, but I did do that, and so I would recommend doing that as well for you, just in case any other questions pop up throughout the exam where they don't provide you the normal values. You would have gotten that information then in a previous question. So just don't worry about remembering the normal lab values. If you're studying for AANP, they will be on your test. And oh my God, when I found that out, oh my God, it was just such a relief. And then when I saw it on the test and it validated that that is the truth, they provide you those values. So just forget about that. And then my second, well, I guess this would be my third tip for you to avoid altogether when studying for your boards, it would be to avoid learning like dosages. Know your medications, know your classes, but you don't need to learn the doses that are prescribed. They don't even ask you that on the exam. On the AANP exam, they didn't ask any questions as far as, you know, they give you amoxicillin and this dose and which one is the right one. There might have been dosages in the question, but it was never about, is this dosage correct or is this dosage correct? It was this medication or this medication class versus this. And so wipe that out as well, because I was studying those. I don't know if anyone else is studying those, but you don't need to. It's not asked of you in your exam. Oh, I had to get into the store before they were going to close. It is almost, oh, that's weird. It's almost 9 o'clock here, so yeah, I like just made the cut before Rite Aid was closing. But so I have one more tip for you of something that you can just scratch off your list that you do not need to study, and that would be different drugs and their mechanism of action. Don't even waste your time. Don't even waste your time with learning that stuff. It will not be asked of you on the exam. And I feel like it's important to know sometimes, but for the point of the exam, the whole thing is just kind of moot. So don't even bother learning the mechanism of action for different meds. You're not going to be asked that. Scratch it off. One more thing that you don't have to study or waste any brain matter on. So to recap, 1, don't take a predictor exam. It will, I mean, it might not. You might be like a super genius and do extremely well, and then, you know, good for you. But for the rest of us, don't take a predictor exam. It's just gonna knock you down a few notches, and it's like the last thing you need when you're already building up so much anxiety and putting so much weight on an exam. The last thing you need is to have this predictor test predicting that you won't pass. Like, what good does that do? I mean, I guess in theory it should maybe give you some areas that you know you really need to focus more on, and actually I think it does, you know, do that for you. But I was so frustrated with the whole thing that I didn't even thoroughly examine it afterwards and like see where my weaknesses and my strengths were. So I guess if you do choose to do one of those, make sure you stick around and find out your strengths and weaknesses. But just know that if you take one of those predictor exams, it is much harder than the boards. And so it's not a good indicator of whether or not you're going to pass. And then for studying material, there's a few things. Knock them off your list. Just cross them out. Don't learn them. If you are taking the AANP, I can't speak on ANCC. I don't know if it's the same. But 1, don't even worry about your normal lab values. They will be provided to you. 2, don't worry about learning dosages. Those will not be asked. And 3, forget mechanism of action for different drugs. That is also not asked. I think that will be enough for you to cross those off your list, and hopefully it will make the weight of studying all these topics a little bit lighter because you don't have to worry about those. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you. My goodness, I cannot get my words out. If you have any questions, you know to leave them below and that I will respond to you. I always respond to my comments as long as they're like obviously nice, but I haven't even had any mean comments on here. Everyone's been super great, and I'm happy to answer any questions or help in any way. So yeah, let me know. And as always, I hope you guys have a fabulous night. Until next time, bye.